Turner should be all set.
Okay, good evening. I'm calling to order the April 12th, 2023 Town Council Appointment and Negotiations Committee meeting. In attendance is myself, Councilor Hamel, and Councilor Clucci. Full committee. We have moved the public comment to item number 3 at the beginning. So if there's anyone in the public that wants to comment on our agenda items, and it looks, I do believe we're going to be amending the agenda. Item number 5 to include a second item, which is to go through the town manager employment agreement, renewal process timeline, which has been updated. So that'll be item 5, number 2. I can't imagine there's people chomping at the bit to make a public comment right now.
No one online.
All right, so then we're going to move to item number 4, which is the approval of the minutes from the March 8th meeting. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes? Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion or changes? All in favor? It's approved. Great. So discussion item number 1 is we have some applications for various boards that we are going to go through this evening, which is awesome. So we'll go through it alphabetically, just the proper way that Tony provided it to us. So first we have some vacancy. It looks like we have a vacancy. There's 4 vacancies on the ADA advisory board, and we did get 1 application. The application was from Barbara Greenstein. So I'm going to be recommending that we appoint Ms. Greenstein as a full voting member with a term to expire in 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All in
Thank you
favor?
for stepping up.
Yes, right? All in favor? Okay,
This is one of those committees we say never meets, you know, that's promised myself I would never say that again. As soon as you say that.
I expected to be in a meeting then within, a fortnight.
it's interesting that there's an ADA advisory board committee, and then it seems like community services deals a lot with ADA stuff. And that is stuff that comes up in our meetings. So when we think about a board that's not active, that you don't have any members on, and I know we've discussed consolidating, that's for another day. Just making, but it was just something that I thought of because
This was a function of a lawsuit, actually, before my time. The town was sued because of inaccessibility to Higgins Beach. As I recall, the story goes, this committee was grew out of that
Yep.
experience.
okay. So it sounds like that committee's going nowhere.
I don't think it's convened a regular meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
For many years previous.
Are there any other members? Probably nobody yet. Well, maybe she'll read the invite into it, or maybe it does belong somewhere else.
Right? Or we could invite them if there's, other boards, like I just said, community services is talking about ADA stuff. It might be worth, but anyway, I digress. What I wanted to do is just to see how many people are on it. Oh, we have 1 person who's on the committee right now. So now we have 2. That's great. All right, let's move on to the next committee, which is the Historical Implementation Preservation Committee. There is 1 vacancy on this committee for a full voting member, and we did receive an application from Edith Waxman. So I'm recommending that we appoint Ms. Waxman as a full voting member of the Historical Implementation Preservation Committee.
We don't really hear much from this committee. I know they were working at one time on Beach Ridge School. That's the last thing that I remember they were working on, but I don't have any.
They were very active. The pandemic, I'm not aware that they met and that much during then or since then, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
But their most recent claim to fame was establishing a listing of historic properties. If that's part of our chapter 4 or 5.
It's in our ordinance. Are they linked to the historical society in any way, or?
There's some members of the society are actually appointed members of this committee. There's no direct link.
But
common
this one is
interests.
more charged with, historical,
The
designating which one should be,
preservation.
yeah.
And Don's right, they also weighed in on the society's request for funding to restore the Beaufort School.
And current members are Craig Friedrich, Jessica Holbrook, and Becky Delaware. So it's,
Is Algiers Hall considered historic?
It is.
So should they be part of that conversation, or they're just implementation of what becomes, what we're making historic?
They certainly could. They haven't expressed an interest in being part of that conversation. I don't even think they had an opinion about buying it, frankly. I don't recall that they.
Yeah, I don't remember time that they did.
But I think the reason that we were able to use the funding source that we did was because they had designated it as a
Was on their list.
worthy of preserving.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have a description about what this committee is. I feel like other ones do.
That's good, we got out.
Right? I have a charge for them. Write what you're supposed, write an about.
So I'll move the motion that you recommended. to
Thank
appoint, Ms.
Ms. Waxman.
Waxman as a full voting member.
Second,
All in favor? Great. Okay, next we have a planning board vacancy, and so we received numerous applications. And the recommendation that I'm going to be giving this evening is to appoint out of the applications Bennett Flanders as the second alternate, but I'm further going to be recommending to move James Hebert, who is currently the second alternate, to the full voting member.
Madam Chair, I might suggest you just reverse that motion. I think
Yep,
Reed-
so I actually was just gonna
Yep.
say, so my recommendation is to move James Hebert from the second alternate voting to a full voting member with a term to expire in 2023, and then fill the second alternate position with Bennett Flanders with a term to expire in 2023.
So
second,
All in favor? Okay. Next, we have the Senior Advisory Board. There are 3 vacancies on this board, and there's 1 full voting member position open, and then we have 2 alternate positions open. We had 2 applications, Eleanor Lehman and Edith Waxman. My recommendation would be, considering that we just appointed Edith to the Historical Implementation Preservation Committee, would be to appoint Miss Eleanor Lehman as a full voting member with a term to expire in 2023, and then make Ms. Waxman the first alternate with a term to expire in 2024.
moved.
second,
Favor? Okay. Okay. And then we have Sustainability Committee. There is 1 vacancy, which is the second alternate position, and we had 1 application, which was Lydia Job. So my recommendation would be to appoint Ms. Job as the second alternate with a term to expire in 2025.
So moved.
second,
All in favor?
Very efficient.
There we go. Okay, so those were the appointments that we were doing this evening. And then, like I said, we just added a second item, number 5, which is the town manager's employment agreement renewal process timeline that Mr. Hamel is going to take us through.
yeah, this was adopted in a prior meeting, so this is really, the purpose of this update is just to kind of confirm revised dates for various steps. The town manager has notified us of his desire to renew for an additional 3-year term, so Tom, thanks for that. We got that from Tom before the end of last month. Thank you. And so the process is off and running. And so the next step will be May 10th. This committee will meet with Liam, or Liam will meet with this committee. And we'll talk about comp, we'll probably do a baseline comp and talk about market data. I don't think we're gonna, we haven't had.
Oh, I'm gonna have to interrupt you.
No, you're not here for the 10th.
So, and that is something that we should have put on the agenda, is proposing to have our meeting next month at a different time.
Oh.
Yep.
So we're
I'm
gonna have a pause with this.
I will, and I apologize, because I did not see that, I wasn't thinking about this when I looked at it. So I spoke to Chair Anderson, and his recommendation was to try to fit in an ANC meeting after one of our budget meetings at a different time.
Okay,
Um,
you want to try to. do
We only
that
knew
now?
when the budget meetings.
well, and I think that
Yeah.
it was, so we do need to obviously meet. But I, again, apologize for
Well,
looking at that now, realizing,
I believe we have one that
to
you were locked into.
be fair, we only set,
Wednesday.
yeah, we only set these dates yesterday, so you didn't have a lot of lead time, so sorry about that.
well, I also knew that I wasn't gonna be here in May, and I was planning on addressing it tonight, and this is so eloquently reminding.
Oh, it was May 4th. Which potentially has a conflict. Is the 26th too soon? I mean, our finance committee meetings are already 3 hours.
They are, and I don't think, that was just a suggestion that I think John was just saying, maybe we could try, because we're already all together.
Yes,
Um,
that's my preference as well.
So here's a suggestion. Liam, would it make sense? I mean, there's gonna be some time to discuss comp. It doesn't have to be done, at this point. We could actually cancel the May 10th meeting altogether and combine it with a later one. In terms, because this just really talks about comp and market data. We could fold it into any of the other ones.
Do we need to review it as a committee before? Because we're gonna review it again as a council.
Right. It may
We're not
not,
changing anything.
no, I mean, yeah, it's just for context in terms of the economics.
well, I
So-
think for transparency, I think the public wants to see it. This is not an executive May 10th. So I feel, is that what this is for? Is for us to review the compensation and data for the public? So then when we come back, they understand the context of the recommendation we're giving for that contract?
I do not know.
Okay.
That's a good question. I don't remember, Liam, I don't recall that this was done in executive
I
session.
don't believe it was, because it was just data, it was
Yeah.
just publicly available data.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
so that's
so-
why I appreciate why you have that meeting though,
Mhm.
is the public to be
yeah,
informed.
and that we didn't contemplate that being executive session. But you could do it really anytime, later. It could be,
Memory serves last time, we did have a public component. I don't recall anyone from the public actually expressing interest or attending, but it was there.
Mhm.
And then I think, from there, the members of the ANC kind of went into the executive session with the balance of the council to let their thoughts be known. And obviously, the council had all the data as well, to the degree that's relevant. I'm fine, doing a presentation of that data, answering questions at the front end of the, or maybe tag on a public meeting to go over the data with the balance of the council on the 17th. And then you move into executive session where I said we have a meeting, I would not be present. To do that, you can combine those two dates.
so why don't we can I make a motion, is there, go ahead.
What's going on?
Liam made a suggestion that we could just cancel the May 10th.
Mhm.
And he could do it before we.
And we could do it before the executive session, or we talk about market data, it's already included there, we could do it as part of that meeting or prior to that meeting. Since we're gonna do it in committee, it would probably make sense to do it at another appointments committee, a regularly scheduled appointments committee. So, do you wanna do that for June? You do it after the executive session.
I would think the council would want the market data if they're gonna talk about.
Right. Because we have a deadline to let Tom know, that we are willing to engage in discussions. And then the deadline is the end of May.
We don't need to have the terms of the new contract in
No.
place until 6 months after that.
Right,
Which is really when the market data.
right. We could do it anytime after that. You want to pick a date? Your meetings, these meetings are the. What's the?
Wednesday.
Second Wednesday of each month, right?
Next year I will miss a town council meeting and I will not miss weeks with all these other meetings. I learned my lesson. I mean, my understanding is we need this data before we can meet on May 17th.
No, not really. I mean,
It will be part of the discussion on the 17th, I think, either way.
yeah,
So is there an expectation of the council that ANC has gone through this data and will be able to further present it?
we just, this date is really just to confirm that the council wants to go forward and begin negotiations. It doesn't get into
Okay.
any real detail about terms and conditions or economics. It's just
You know better
going.
than me.
I don't remember, I mean, I remember in executive session going through it. I thought you were fairly specific, where you had like town manager from here or here.
Yeah, I'm happy to pull up the example right now. We can talk about to the degree you want to get some direction on. I think we had a preliminary conversation a few ANC meetings ago about the appropriate cohort. Get some direction there. And then just going over high level, what I have historically provided as market data, and then you can direct to see if that's something you still want to pursue. Or not.
So even though you're not likely you would make decisions, then it would be helpful to know how it fits.
Pressure. It's just a set of eyes before it goes to council. That's all.
But we're dealing with the month of May,
We are.
which is, as we all know, pre-booked.
So while in that, so the week of May 10th is out, right? And
Unless you want to meet on a Friday night.
I'm not
I'm kidding.
opposed. May 5th is fine with me.
I think town hall is closed on Fridays now. Can we have meetings on Fridays? Who wants to meet on a Friday night?
Didn't say I wanted to. I would.
I mean, you could,
Or you can have an ANC
15th, like
meeting
that
without
Monday
me.
or Tuesday before. Before the 17th. We don't have anything finance committee that week. Right now.
So the 17th is the Wednesday, 16th will be the Tuesday.
Yeah.
I can leave my kids home for a half an hour to come in for a quick meeting.
Yeah. That'd be good.
You guys understand this process and the significance of each of these events better than I do, to be honest. So I really feel like you kind of need to tell me what's important, the timeline.
we don't need to review market data in public. Okay, I don't think we need to do that.
I think if you wrap it into an executive session talking about the manager's contract, and that's just some support, I agree. I don't think that you would need to, but by itself, it's not subject to.
It doesn't
executive
have to.
session.
So that's all I remember, because I wasn't on ANC, it was going over an executive session, and I don't know what work happened to, I assume that Liam did the bulk of it. It was very professional.
Yeah.
Well done.
So I'd say we'll leave the May 10th meeting and it'll be covered in one of these other meetings.
You might have an opportunity to do away with a meeting you don't need.
Yeah, eliminate the May 10th meeting.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
Would you like me to make a motion?
Yes.
I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt these dates as recommended, except that we delete the May 10th date and otherwise accept this as the schedule for the EA renewal process, which, like many things, is also subject to further change.
I'll second that tentative motion.
Will the market data be available to the public? I think that's where we're eliminating a public setting, a public thing where people could see at least part of the process.
But we're not doing it to kind of keep it away from the public, so you could, you could make it available.
You could include it in the packet. Yeah, you could
in a.
You can include it in a council packet with an update from the ANC chair on the process. You know, I don't
Yeah,
think that'd be
do
appropriate
it
to
that
say, you know, we're in contract negotiations with town manager about successor agreement, and here's some of the data we're considering with regard to any economic changes. And I think there's no shortage of ways to produce the market data.
I think that would suffice, or we're not actually gonna be talking about. The contract details don't come into play until
Right.
later in the process, so at your next
Right,
regular meeting, you can still have it on your agenda. And have that information be part of the packet, and we can talk about it.
I don't want to eliminate this meeting and somehow feel like we're eliminating some sort of public setting process in market data that we're now saying might not otherwise be available now because of that. So I'm fine with that motion. Just trying to clarify. All in favor?
Just to restate, we're gonna just eliminate the
that.
May tenth
Yep.
meeting, otherwise follow this
Correct.
as proposed.
Correct.
Yes.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think now that we voted on that, what I was just clarifying is, can we still share the market data, just so it's out there, so the one person that wants to know why we're paying Tom this is, there it is.
So we put it on your June agenda.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
You'll have to approve by contract ultimately. Because
Yes.
it's a public action.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, it could be part of that as well.
No, I think that's where I'm saying, let's just try to fit it in somewhere else and not lose it.
it's for here, so.
So this is, do you mind going over this just to?
Not at all.
Okay, just as a refresher. So this is the cohort that we sought last time. Generally, we're looking at York and Cumberland county municipalities with some exceptions for Androscoggin, the larger municipalities there. So we're trying to look at, you know, by this measure, you know, 7,500 to 36,000. It seems broad, but I think we look at kind of similar forms of government and challenges and staffing. We try to look at tenure of the manager, base salary. To the degree they're on a salary scale, I think obviously what you'll see is that the majority are not. They
Yeah.
have independent agreements. If there's a bonus component, you'll see a lot of contracts have stipends for travel or vehicles. Mobile phone stipends, broadband stipends. Again, some of them are not that common, but it's all trying to really develop the big picture as to what is the total compensation package, because there are some managers that you know, maybe their base salary doesn't jump out at you, but once you factor in the retirement benefits of being both in means the retirement and deferred comp benefit or 401A benefit, it really inflates the total cost of their package.
Yep.
So we do assess whether they're in ICMARCs now called Mission Square, but that's a defined benefit or defined contribution plan, whereas means the retirement is the state pension plan, benefit plan. And we try to come up with a total. I did also try to delve into this just to get some apples to apples around what the medical percentage is. Generally, managers follow kind of whatever their other non-union personnel receive for a benefit. So employee versus employer percentage, and then try to build that out to see what the total or what the benefit is there.
What's the ER?
Employer. So what's the actual employer expense is for that benefit? Yep. Again, travel and training, there are some that call that out more directly and define it, paid time off. And then I try to put in any notes. So again, I think I spoke last time we spoke about this, I said I'd share it out. I will actually share this out this time with the group. And if you have any other municipalities that you would like to incorporate that you don't feel like are captured, if you want to narrow the scope, if you know, obviously, I think at one point, the first time I incorporated Portland's not like comparable. Sorry, Tom, although I'm sure you appreciate that. Portsmouth, I think, was one being kind of a very southern municipality, but similar maybe challenges. So when I share it out, and then again, none of this data is up to date. So it's all probably 2 or 3 years old now. There has been some turnover in some of those positions. So I'll try to grab the most recent data. And again, it's the best I can make sense of it, you know. Years of service, I'm relying on the municipality providing an accurate figure there. So
And the yellow, they didn't respond.
that
to-
was the last of the 2021 survey. So that would have been fiscal year 21. So that's 2 years old now.
So what do you, what numbers go in here if they don't
It
respond?
would have been the last available year. So that probably would have been 2020 data. Yep. So that's why on its face, it's not terribly complicated, particularly as I'm just asking people to update it. But sometimes it's hard to track people.
Yeah, just appreciate trying to capture full compensation. It's not simply going to publicly available information. You really need to be talking to someone at HR and each one of these committees, and you're at the mercy of them responding.
Yeah.
My colleagues covet this because it's the most comprehensive, that really tries to capture full compensation.
Nobody else really does. They rely on things
They
where.
started it and they all rely on it.
Hey, don't
That's
question, what's ICMA?
I'm sorry?
What's ICMA?
ICMA is the defined contribution retirement plan. So that's just the vendor, which is the common, so your Fidelity, if you will. Yeah, it's just, I'm not, there may be one municipality that has a vendor other than that. They've since converted their name to, it's called Mission Square now. So if you ever see their ads on social media, that's really a heavily public benefit, public sector geared retirement plan.
And most of us in the profession choose that because it's portable. None of us, very few of us, I should say, serve in a community their whole career. And so it's important that you're able to take those retirement funds with you and build as you build your career.
Interesting, almost everybody seems to use the same.
Variation
But you will notice, I mean,
percentage.
oftentimes they'll, it's one of those things that just gets passed by, so you'll see some, not to pick on one, but Brunswick, they're getting 12% to their, probably a 401A plan, which again is comparable to a 401K plan, but they're also a main state retirement. So that community is paying, 22.6% in retirement for their manager, and it usually gets glossed over and forgotten about. So, it does give a much better apples to apples, I think, in terms of what communities are paying for professional management.
Just in the last 6 months, there's been new managers in Wells, York, and
Kennebunk. Freeport's now looking for a new manager because he went to York. And I think Freeport might not be on this list, which I think annoyed my HR colleague.
Seems
So,
like they might be a comparable.
Freeport?
Yeah.
I think I dropped them off because I think their population was such. I think it was below that 7,500 threshold. Yeah. Again, I think in years past, I've also included Kennebunkport. I'm not talking about Ogunquit, but Ogunquit has like 1,000-year round residents.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Cape is smaller than 7,500 or?
Cape Elizabeth has 99,000.
Oh, they are
Yeah,
there.
they are. Yeah.
And Falmouth, were they in there?
Yep.
So,
Well, too.
yeah, right here.
Yeah, they're there. Okay. Sounds like you got a good.
I
blend.
Yeah, I think also in years past, I did provide Tom's historical compensation information. I think going back to his first agreement, so it showed what his annual increase was, what other changes there were in his benefits. So I'm happy to update that as well. So you have appreciation for what that's done over time. Cool. So I'll share this out this evening and I'll work to update it in the next 4 weeks or so.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay, so did we establish that we are not meeting at all in May?
All right,
Okay,
we'll be meeting plenty.
right, exactly.
We'll be seeing you.
Okay, and then what we'll do is in June. We can go through the market data then, is what you're saying. Yeah, make that then. Okay, we'll make that agenda item then, and maybe we'll have. I don't know, are all our boards full? Well, maybe we won't be having any more applications and we won't be doing any more. That'd be nice.
We're gonna have to staff the community center committee, but I think that's. I think June. Starting to talk about that in June is fine, or is it?
Yeah, if you don't mind, in the meantime, we'll reach out to gauge interest from the fire committee.
Yeah, I saw Patrick O'Reilly. He said he was interested.
Okay, so I thought we would communicate equally out to all of them, just indicate that they're put the band back together,
Yeah.
who might be interested, so we'll do that advance work for you.
Right.
And then we can also reach out to the community services advisory committee to see who they may suggest.
Mhm.
That would be great to get folks to re-up.
And
answer
for that matter, I suppose you'd like us to solicit the at-large folks too, right? So next time you convene in June, you'll have all of those for your consideration.
If memory serves, it's 4 at large, 3 from the former community center and 2 from the advisory.
Correct, yep, yeah, so I think, like, I think it would be good to determine who we're getting from the board from before. And then from the previous 2019
mix
board,
in with
and
the
then
deadline.
the advisory board, who they want to give us, and then evaluate what those people bring to the
Yep.
table, and then we can probably pick the 4 remaining. So are
But we
you?
might as well solicit and get people expressing interest, then you can assess what the gaps are, if you will, in terms of making those final appointment decisions.
So is the community services committee going to appoint 2 people to us, or are we gonna pick 2 people? How are we working?
We should figure that out, because I think there's a lot of interest. My preference is to have them apply.
Okay.
I can go back to the board,
Sure.
depending on how their interest is, we can do it 2 ways. I'm afraid, there's a lot of mixed people in that, and so I'm not quite sure. I don't want to make it contentious, I guess I would say.
So have them apply, have the returning members apply. They just go into a different pool, right? So we're picking.
That would be my initial response. I don't know. I mean, of course, if there's only 2 people in community services, I probably would say don't apply. We'll just push you up. If Tom only gets,
Well, I think we'll just put the invitation out there that an expression of interests, and we'll see how many there are.
I think that you should require everyone who wants to be on it to
Yeah,
apply,
yeah.
whether from the former
Right.
recreation thing, from the rec advisory. or from our-
Yeah, the rationale there is that you'd like to assess all the skills and
yes,
talents and expertise of the various members to try to assemble this dream team.
so do you guys have a standard application that you put online?
Yeah, I mean, for those select groups, we'll do direct outreach. And we may come up with a new form for them. For the at-large positions, I think we'll probably treat it like we did the that airport noise committee, remember? As opposed to taking a chance, we did some social media around this, that there's an opportunity and really drive some interest to it. And I think we'll probably be dozens upon dozens.
Well, yeah, so with that being said, I mean, the article that I'm writing for this, the 15th, is about a community center. It talks about an ad hoc committee, so it would be great if we could get the process going, because it'll be out there. We're approving it, the committee, next week. It's gonna be fresh in everyone's mind, so I don't, even though I know we're not meeting till June, if we put the application up,
The application.
give it a good month from that timeline of, like, it was in the newsletter last week, and then we just approved the ad hoc at the council meeting, and now the application's online.
So when you say 15th, in 3 days,
What?
April 15th, for your leader or everything?
That's what I'm doing. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that,
so that will be the kickoff. Council
then that,
approves the committee on the 19th.
Yep.
And then we can get.
And
and
then.
then the next step would be,
Okay, we'll-
yeah.
we'll do
I
right
think it would be
after
nice to not have a huge lag between
No.
those 2
this.
things.
No, but it's a nice buildup, right?
Yeah, that was kind of the point.
Staggered up, yep. Yep.
Yeah.
We'll get started on that.
That would be great, because then we'll have probably everything we need for June. By then.
Yes, to go to
For
council.
that.
with a lot,
For that. Okay.
Or even.
And we're on the street with the RP to select the design consultants. So
Right.
ideally, we have those folks identified at the same time the committee's
Right.
forming.
Are there any, so this is our standard form for applying to any board and committee.
Mhm.
So beyond demographic information, these are kind of the questions that that you review. Are there any other, I mean, I think if this is probably comprehensive enough that they'll say anything they want you to hear and know to consider their application?
We created a specialized one for the last community center committee.
So I think that's
Thank
like,
Maybe we take a look back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at that, maybe.
is that something that we can also do offline in the next few days?
I mean,
I mean, I think, again, I would think that someone interested in joining this ad hoc committee can probably, I mean, these are pretty broad questions. They could probably put in there anything they want you to consider when assembling the complement of skills. But if there are specific questions, then we would need to modify this and have a special form for that.
My recollection is we had a modified form for that was had different questions.
And the downtown committee was specific. So.
Yeah, so I think we can dust that off, tune it up,
Yeah.
and use that. And rather than just adding another box to the long string of vacant of committee appointments.
we'll have Tony send that out then first thing in the morning to you three, and maybe you can comment back and just wait until some consensus.
Thank you.
And then I agree with you. I think if we can have this prepared to launch in line with your article, I don't think it's gonna require a lot of work, but then we'll start a landing page for.
If it gets approved on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's after the council takes action on the 19th,
Yeah,
which
next
is
week.
just next week.
Yeah.
Into that.
I mean, my article says that next week we're approving it, so. Don't make me a liar.
Wait, no.
This is the second reading on the charge.
Yep. And that's procedurally correct. You have a first reading and then at the second reading, that's when you approve it, right?
Yeah, the final, some items don't require 2 readings. But if you do have 2 readings, that's the.
Yeah.
That,
This
that's
one
the
doesn't
approval.
require, but I think we intentionally added extra process.
To get all the feedback we have not gotten. Great,
the opportunities.
It's good to allow the opportunity.
absolutely.
I just think it's gonna be important to manage expectations. I don't see how this possibly runs down the road in parallel with with school projects unless they're combined some way. So that's just saying,
I disagree.
There's a lot of merit to asking the voters a question at the same time.
Yep.
I think.
Absolutely, I agree.
Well, let's hold them to it. They said in the survey, want this. Do you really want it? Do you really want it? Do you
Well-
want your taxes to go up? Do you want to keep the money in Scarborough? Read my article.
Well, we're at 150, so if we get to 200, it's
Well,
you know. 200 million.
Okay, thank you for that conversation. That was helpful. And we will look out for the application to look at. With that, do we have any other thing? Anything else we need to discuss?
it'll be a fun June meeting.
Yes, that's why I'm here. Get stuff done. Do I have a motion to adjourn?